The forest was quiet in that eerie way it gets when something's about to happen. No bird song. No wind. Just the creak of pine branches above and Eli Whitmore's boots crunching over dried needles. He hadn't planned to hike this far, but he hadn't planned to turn 28 alone either. 5 years. That's how long it had been since Ava vanished. No body. No goodbye. Just her empty tent, a trail gone cold, and a silence his family never escaped. And now here he was, walking the same forest trail she disappeared into, hoping to feel something, anything that connected him to her. He adjusted the straps on his pack and took another step into the undergrowth. That's when he heard it. A low grunt. Eli froze. Heart rate spiking. He turned slowly, scanning the tree line. Then the branches exploded. A bear. Massive. Black. Moving faster than anything that size should. Jesus, he choked, stumbling backward. It wasn't walking. It was charging. Eli ran. No thought. Just instinct. His feet pounded the uneven forest floor, dodging roots, scraping past low branches. He didn't dare look back. He could hear it, crashing behind him, heavy paws thundering like a storm. Every breath burned. His pack slapped against his spine. He was losing ground, he knew it. The bear was faster, angrier, closer. All he could think of was teeth. Claws. Blood. He darted through a narrow ridge and slid down a slope slick with moss and old leaves. He hit the bottom hard, gasping. No time. No time. He spotted a hollow beneath a fallen tree, barely large enough to squeeze through. He dove. Silence. His breath caught in his throat. He stayed perfectly still, hand over his mouth. The crashing stopped. And then, the sound of something heavy stepping just beyond the log. A shadow blocked the sunlight. Something exhaled, low, rough, not angry. Intent. Then came a dull thud, right beside his leg. Eli dared to glance down. A torn, weather-worn journal lay in the dirt. And the bear was walking away. Eli stared at the journal lying in the dirt beside his boot, torn and stained, the leather cracked like it had survived years of weather. The edges of its pages fluttered softly in the breeze. No blood. No claws. Just a journal. And the bear, it was no longer charging. It stood a few feet away now, broad and silent, head slightly lowered, watching him, not with hunger, not even aggression. Just something else. Something deliberate. Eli's pulse still thudded in his ears, but the panic had stalled, confused by the absurdity of the moment. He looked from the journal to the bear, back again. What the hell, he whispered. He reached out slowly, half expecting the bear to lunge, but it didn't move. His fingers brushed the cover. The leather felt warped and damp. Carefully, he lifted it and flipped it open. A name was scrawled on the inside cover in smeared black ink. Ava Whitmore. Eli's breath caught. No. It couldn't be. The handwriting was unmistakable. He'd seen it on birthday cards, sticky notes, the margin of her sketchbooks. His sister's hand. Right there. On this journal dropped by a bear. His knees buckled. He sat hard on the forest floor, the journal open in his lap, fingers trembling as he turned another page. Dated entries. Familiar loops of her pen. The dates matched the weeks after she vanished. Some pages had water damage, others were ripped or smudged with dirt and charcoal. The bear huffed, a low, throaty sound, then turned slowly and walked a few paces away before stopping. It looked back. As if waiting. Eli didn't move. He couldn't. His brain was trying to make sense of two impossible truths at once. His sister's journal had somehow survived the forest. And a bear had just delivered it to him. Whatever was happening, it wasn't random. It wasn't wild. The bear wasn't chasing him. It had brought him something. And it wasn't finished yet. Eli sat motionless beneath the hollowed log, the journal heavy in his hands. The forest had gone still again, no birds, no rustling leaves. Just the occasional creak of wood and the soft, distant padding of the bear's retreating steps. He flipped through the fragile pages like they were made of glass. The first legible entry was dated 5 days after Ava had gone missing. Food is gone. Water's nearly out. My phone died 2 days ago. I tried heading north, but I must have circled back again. It's like the trees keep folding around me. Eli swallowed hard. The next entry was shorter. Saw a bear today. Black coat, scar on the left shoulder. It watched me for a long time. Didn't attack. Just stood there. He glanced up, as if expecting the same bear to reappear from the trees. Scar on the left shoulder, it matched. That was the same bear. He turned another page, and Ava's handwriting grew more erratic. It came again. Left berries by my fire pit. I didn't imagine it. I'm sure now. It's watching over me. The entry was underlined. Twice. I think it's trying to help me. Eli's throat tightened. This wasn't just a random survival note. She'd formed some kind of connection with the very creature he'd just run from in terror. The last full entry was barely readable. Followed it again today. Through the ravine, past the old stone creek bed. I think it's leading me somewhere. I think it wants me to see. The ink trailed off. The next page was ripped. Half the following page had mold damage. Whatever Ava had found, or was led to, was lost in those torn scraps. But something about the writing chilled him. She hadn't been afraid. Not like he was. She'd trusted the bear. Maybe even depended on it. Eli looked up again. The bear was gone. But his gut told him it hadn't wandered far. And for the first time in 5 years, he felt like he wasn't alone in this forest. Something was waiting. And somehow, his sister's story wasn't over yet. Eli stood slowly, the journal pressed against his chest. The forest around him felt different now, charged with a strange stillness, like something unseen was watching, waiting. Then he heard it again, soft footsteps. Not hurried. Not threatening. Deliberate. The bear emerged from the trees, massive and quiet. Its dark eyes locked with his. Eli's legs tensed. But it didn't move closer. Instead it turned, and walked away. Then it stopped. Looked back. Waiting. Eli hesitated. Every rational part of his brain screamed, "Don't follow a bear." But he wasn't thinking rationally anymore. His sister's journal was in his hands, a journal the bear had delivered. The forest hadn't swallowed her completely. And now this creature was retracing her steps. He followed. The bear led him off trail, through dense undergrowth, across a narrow ridge slick with moss. They crossed a stream, wound between boulders, and climbed a shallow slope cloaked in ferns and silence. Then finally, the trees opened into a small clearing. A cabin. Barely visible beneath layers of vines and ivy, its roof sagging under years of weather. It looked like no one had touched it in decades. But as Eli stepped closer, he saw things that didn't belong to age. A boot print in the dirt. A rusted tin cup on the windowsill. The bear stopped at the edge of the clearing. It didn't enter. It simply sat, watching. Eli pushed the cabin door open. Inside, the air was damp and still, heavy with the scent of old wood and memory. A torn sleeping bag lay in the corner. On a table, half covered in dust, was a sketchpad. The top page showed a crude but unmistakable image. A black bear. Scar on the left shoulder. His throat tightened. Next to it, Ava's old hiking backpack. A pressed flower inside. And carved into the wood near the window, faint but legible. "Thank you, my guardian." Eli sank to his knees. She had lived. Not just survived, but found peace, even if only for a time. And the bear. The bear had been there the whole time. Eli spent hours inside the cabin, afraid that if he left too soon, the truth would vanish like mist. Every corner held a trace of Ava, a handmade bracelet made of bark and twine, pages torn from the journal tucked under floorboards, even a childlike drawing tacked to the wall. A sketch of a bear sitting beside a fire. She hadn't just survived here. She had lived. Outside, dusk settled. Through the cracked window, Eli could still see the bear. It hadn't moved. Just sat, unmoving, like a sentry guarding a memory. He lit the old fire pit with trembling hands. There were ashes still buried in it, preserved under layers of pine needles. He added dry branches and watched the flames flicker to life, casting dancing shadows across the walls. Then he opened the journal again. More pages had dried in the warmth. Another entry revealed itself. "I stopped fearing it. It's not a monster. It brought me to berries when I was starving. Waited when I was too weak to walk. It sat with me when I cried. Eli felt the weight of her words press down on his ribs like a hand. If I die here, let someone know, it tried to save me. It stayed. It remembered. His eyes burned. She hadn't died alone. The forest had watched over her. The bear had watched over her. As night fell, Eli stepped outside. The sky above was velvet and endless, filled with stars. The bear was still there. He moved closer this time, slowly, and sat down beside it, a few feet away. They said nothing, did nothing. Just breathed the same cool air. I think you were her friend, Eli whispered. The bear turned its head slightly. Then gently, it lowered its massive head to the forest floor beside him. A moment passed. And in that stillness, Eli felt something he hadn't in years. Not fear. Not grief. Understanding. Morning mist drifted through the trees, soft and silver, wrapping the forest in quiet reverence. Eli woke to the crackle of cooling embers and the faint, steady breath of the bear lying a short distance away, still watching. Still present. He had no idea how long he'd slept, but he hadn't dreamed. He didn't need to. Ava's memories were everywhere around him, etched in bark, scrawled in the journal, drawn in faded pencil on the cabin's walls. She had never truly left this place. And neither had the bear. Eli stood slowly and walked back into the cabin one last time. He carefully gathered what he could, her journal, the sketch pad, the hand-woven bracelet. All he left behind was a note. A promise. She mattered. I'll make sure they know. Back outside, the bear had risen. Eli approached it slowly, unsure of how to say goodbye to something so ancient, so strangely sacred. He reached out, pausing just inches from its fur. The bear didn't flinch. Instead, it leaned forward, ever so slightly, until Eli's fingers brushed the thick, coarse hair along its scarred shoulder. I don't know what you are, Eli whispered. But thank you. The bear blinked, then turned. With one final look back, calm knowing, it stepped into the trees and disappeared between the trunks like smoke in the wind. Eli didn't follow. Some things aren't meant to be chased. He hiked out of the forest slowly, pausing every now and then to look over his shoulder. But he didn't see the bear again. He didn't need to. Weeks later, back in town, the story of Ava Whitmore changed. Not a tragic disappearance. Not a mystery. But a tale of survival, of a sister who found peace in the wild and a guardian that watched over her to the end. Most people didn't believe it. But Eli didn't care. He knew the truth. And somewhere deep in the forest, the keeper of that memory still wandered, quiet, watchful, and waiting for the next soul who might need to be saved.